Hey everybody, Marcus Hadfield, served in the Illinois National Guard for 11 years, deployed twice, once to Louisiana to train the soldiers going to Iraq, 03-04 the second time, 08-09 to Afghanistan. I currently am working for Illinois Department of Transportation and own Hattie Livestock Farms. I have a beautiful wife and 4 children. Hope you guys are having a great day.
Hi, my name is John. I was in the United States Army from 1976 to 1982. I was a missile operator for air defense and a team leader. I was Army discharged in 82, went back to civilian life, worked in the trucking industry for a while. Then when that didn't quite pan out, I started working as a corrections officer, cadet, and I got sick in the academy. When I'm working at the time for Kitchen and for Volusia County and Sonoma County, Kitchen as a civilian worker. And in 2017, I retired, and I've been retired since then. I've enjoyed myself.
Hi, my name is Court Greger. I served in the Army active duty from 2005 to 2013. I was deployed to Afghanistan 2011 to 2012 as a field artillery cannon crew member, but I served as a section chief and ammo team chief while deployed. I am now 35 and I work at Mackinac Correctional Center in Illinois as a lieutenant. I have a wife, 5 kids, and been an interesting career, rough journey through transition from military to civilian world, but here I am.
Hey guys, my name is Chris Hefner. I served in the Illinois Army National Guard for 8 years. I was a staff sergeant. I was deployed 2 times, once in 2005 to 2006 in Iraq, and then for a second time, 2008, 2009 in Afghanistan. Currently, I reside in this great state of Tennessee. I run a small boutique barbell personal training gym, and I've got a lovely wife and a kid on the way, and we're loving life, doing pretty good.
Hey, what's going on, you guys? I'm Devin Elrod. I did 4 years in the Coast Guard, just got out in January 2023. I did a year and a half in Baltimore on a 175-foot buoy tender, just patrolling, doing H2 navigations, make sure the waterways were safe. I did about 13 weeks at A School, Machinery Technician A School in Yorktown, Virginia. Learned how to work on diesel engines, gasoline, inboard, outboard, all that cool kind of stuff. Then I went to a 87-foot patrol boat in Galveston, Texas, and that's where I spent the last 3 years of my tour. Patrolling off the shore of Galveston, about 200 nautical miles out, enforcing maritime law, migrant interdictions, drug interdictions, all that kind of cool stuff. And I eventually got out as a machinery technician 3rd class, and now I'm a diesel mechanic back home in North Carolina, living happy and loving life.
Hi, my name is Chris. I was in the United States Navy from 1969 to 1971. I was stationed out of San Diego on a destroyer, John R. Craig 885. I was a bosun mate, did 2 tours in Vietnam. I got out. When I came back, I went to work for a prison. Worked there for 30 years. And I also did a little part-time in an armored car. And now I'm happily retired. I sing in a rock and roll band. Life is good. Thank you very much. Have a good day.
Hey guys, my name is Jeremy Miller. Served in the Illinois Army National Guard for a little over 6 years. Deployed once to Iraq 05 to 06. Still reside in Illinois, work for a company called All States Ag Parts, and also run a self-storage business with my business partner. Married for almost 12 years now, 2 kids, a 9-year-old and a 4-year-old that keep us very busy. Hope everyone has a good day out there.
Are we live? I think we're live. Welcome to the
We
Patriot
are.
View.
Welcome. What's up, buddy?
I don't know yet. What's going on?
Crazy week, yeah?
I heard you had a crazy week for the bad. I kind of had a crazy week for the good.
Why don't you start off with the good news first?
All right. Well, this week, got to mow the grass. Got to break out the old John Deere 60 whatever million-inch mower I got.
The
Laying
Benford
carpet
3000.
down. What's that?
The Benford 3000.
That thing's. Let me tell you, that mower's great. Got to mow. Got to go to opening night at my local racetrack. That was
Ooh.
awesome. Actually, Meat Shield joined me for opening night there.
Sweet.
Did my first stream in like 19 days. I did not know it had been that long. Streamed Red Dead 2 for a little while. Got me a little band down there, my Moonshine Shack and stuff. But the best part of my week was I got to take my daughter in an airplane. We jumped in a Piper Warrior 2,
Sweet.
and she got to pilot it for about 20 minutes.
Oh, I bet she loved that.
Yeah, it was awesome.
That's pretty cool.
Got videos and pictures, obviously, and we flew over our own house because we live like 8.5 miles as the bird flies from the airport. So we flew over our own house, got to wave to our family, out there on the ground.
Right.
Awesome.
Waggle the wings a little bit.
Yeah, we were about 2,500 feet, so there wasn't a whole lot of
Oh,
sightseeing
really?
going on.
You know any closer than that?
Well, no, we had stuff going on.
Right.
There was wind and weather in the area, and then there was 3 other planes doing training flights and
Yeah, I
stuff.
remember you said that there was other
Yeah.
planes when y'all took that flight. Yeah, so that makes sense.
we picked
Maintains
altitude of 2,500 feet and just hung out there.
So a lot of our viewers play flight sim, and I know that Solid Band. I know she's not here tonight, but when we fly together and she was on FSX, we would use Join FS to connect, and there's no name tags between 2020 and FSX, and people would complain, well, I can't see. So you and I had this conversation earlier this week. Why don't you describe just how hard it is to see another aircraft at 1 mile separation?
You can't. Straight up, you can't. So as we're coming into land, our airport, the runway is 6,000 feet. So very distinct runways. Got the poppy lights on the left, just like you'd expect. And we kept hearing this plane calling and saying, "Yeah, I'm 8 miles south of the runway 24. I'm 6 miles south, runway 24. 3 miles south, runway 24, final approach." And we're like, "Man, I'm 4 miles away. Where is this guy? We cannot see him for nothing." And every time they called in, they're 1,000 feet below us and a mile in front of us. We never saw him. Never saw him until their plane hit the runway, and we were a mile behind them, and then we landed.
Yep, that's about right. It actually is really difficult. So when I had my experimental, I got up one morning or got off work one morning, decided I was going to go have coffee at the airport where I took my flight lessons, about 30 miles east at Bolivar, Missouri. And so I rode my four-wheeler down to the airport, pulled the plane out of the hangar, went over, did my pre-flight, jumped in it, fired it up, taxied the end of the runway, made my radio calls. I'm back taxiing down the runway, nothing on the radio. Made my radio call, I'm taking off. Made radio call, turning right out of the pattern, departing to the east. Turn right, and I am face to face with a med-flight helicopter on the same altitude, head-to-head collision course, and he's about 300 yards from me. I never saw him until I turned and was face to face with him. I pulled up and right. He never changed course. He just ducked below me, and it scared the crap out of me.
I bet.
And I was so mad. Dude never came over the radio. I was livid. Well, I flew 30 miles to Bolivar, had breakfast and a cup of coffee, got in the plane, flew home.
Wiped your butt, probably.
Airport. Well, yeah, I did that too. And I told all the guys about it. Like, this is ridiculous. This dude, this is supposed to be a commercial pilot. He never got on the radio. I get back to my home airport, and I'm about 2 miles out, and I can see there's something sitting dead center of the runway. I'm like, what the heck? Somebody done parked in the middle of the runway. So I get a little closer, drop down to about 800 feet above ground. And I start circling, and it's that helicopter. And he's got his freaking windshield covers that look like, the foil windshield covers you put up in a car. He's got them on. And I'm like, what the heck? And so I get lower and circle closer, and then I can see that there's a guy standing on the left side of it, and there's a compartment open. And I'm like, crap, did somebody get hurt at the airport? What's going on? And I still couldn't get him on the radio. I made like 6 radio calls and got no response. So I got like 150 feet off the ground, and I'm turning a tight circle around him. And I holler, and I'm waving out the window, and he looks up, and I gave him the symbol for I'm coming down. and he gave me a thumbs up. And so I turned, circled, made my pattern, and came back and landed on the grass rather than using the runway, taxied to my hangar, shut the plane down, threw my wheel chocks in, and I walked out there. I'm like, man, I'm sorry. I know you're in the runway. I said, but I had to get down. I was getting low on fuel. I didn't fill up this morning before I left. And he goes, no, you're all good. He goes, you were the plane that was taking off out of here when I came in, aren't you? I said, yeah, what was the deal with that? He said, I could hear you on the radio. He said, I could not respond. We had lost one of our engines and all my electrical power was going down. He said,
Dang.
he said, I was auto rotating to the runway. He said, we hit the runway at 65 knots. And then I looked and I realized that behind that helicopter was two skid marks that were about 150 feet long. He
You
had
have
come in
wheels at
with
least?
a patient. No, it was on skids. It was a
Dang.
Bell 406 on skids. But he had come in with a patient, a critical patient in the back of the helo. His engine had failed, blew a fuse and caused the engine to fail. And he had auto rotated to the ground with that patient in there. They did get another helo called in before I got back, and they transported the patient on to Springfield. But I talked to the guy. It turned out he was a Nam vet. He had over 1,000 hours flying
I
in
was like,
Vietnam.
he's used to wearing the skis off them planes anyway, them
He flat out
helicopters.
told me, he said, and I was like, man, I said, have you ever had another experience like that? He said, yeah, I had 4 auto rotations in Nam, but that was a little different. The engine got shot out from under me. I was like, holy crap, you know, but he had like, I think he said he had like 12,000 hours in choppers and
Yeah.
had never flown a fixed wing aircraft once in his life, not one time. He'd flown helos since he joined the military. I was
Huh.
like, that's pretty cool. So yeah, I mean, it really is hard though. Going back to the main point, it really is hard to spot something at a mile separation in the air, especially if that something happens to be white and there are clouds. And a lot of airplanes, especially GA aircraft in the U.S., if they're not little experimentals, a lot of them, typically the base color is white with a little bit of trim of some other color on it.
Yep.
So it's really easy to lose them. So, but it
Yeah,
sounds
for
like you had a
sure.
fun week.
Well, yeah, it was awesome. Like I said, we never seen that dude. I mean, literally, whenever he even landed, and whenever he started taxiing off the runway, that's just like, oh, there he is.
Found him. So it doesn't make you feel so bad not being able to spot them Jerry's and IL-2, does it?
Right.
It's like, oh, you know, I know how hard this is in real life. Thank God this is just a game.
For real. It's not a game, it's a sim.
So my week has been interesting. It has not been a fun week. Um, so I got a phone call the day before yesterday. My cousin, who's just a few years older than myself, dropped dead of a sudden heart attack. No history of heart problems, no medical issues going on. Very healthy. That just dropped dead with a heart attack. And then yesterday, I lost a buddy who was doing a funeral escort, and we weren't sure what happened. I hadn't been able to get the details until today. From what I understand, he had a massive heart attack on his bike, which caused him to leave the roadway at about 70 miles an hour. He ended up about 150 feet off the road from where he left the road surface and down an embankment, and he passed away at the hospital. So it's been kind of a rough week around here, but that's part of life. We deal with it and we go on, right?
Yeah, it does suck that part of life, the last part of life is not living no more, and it's hard to accept sometimes. I think it's probably hard to accept on others' behalf than our own, right?
Right.
I we Most of us fear losing someone close to us more than we fear losing our own life.
That's true.
It's definitely something to deal with. Actually, I got a little bit more positive news today.
Okay.
Um, I've talked over the past couple of streams about the old veteran Bobby, the guy who was
Yep.
deployed to Alaska for his veteran service, right? Uh, I was notified today that he will be taking one of the honor flights.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so that's pretty awesome.
You gonna take him to it?
No, he already has an escort. They don't call them chaperones because they're
Right.
grown ass men,
Thank you,
but
Speedy.
he already has an escort. So whenever he returns home, I plan on being at the airport to meet him. An
So,
honor flight is so it's a very broad term. When it first got started, an honor flight was a very specific thing. What they started doing was there was a World War II veteran memorial erected in Washington D.C. And so for all the World War II veterans who, weren't capable of driving or had family or lived in the area or whatever. Nonprofit organizations would raise money for these flights, and they would put them all on a plane and fly them down to Washington to see the memorial erected in their honor, right? So that was what the initial honor flight is. Now, some of them have even taken, like, eventually I'll get my ducks in a row and I will give you guys a presentation about Sergeant George Mills, one of my favorite World War II veterans. But some of them even go overseas. Like, they took him back to Normandy. He
Flight
was
of
he was
Hope.
he was on the beaches in Normandy, and that's so I use the term honor flight as a very broad term to encompass all of the honorable flights, I guess, to take our veterans to go see memorials or
Meaningful places.
yeah, battlefields or
Right.
whatever. But yeah, his I don't know where his is going. I assume it's the Washington D.C. World War II monument, but I'm not 100% positive. He's a very old man now. He's got to be 85 or better. I don't think he's going overseas or anything. I mean, I don't know, but
Interesting. That's pretty cool. Somebody that you
yeah.
know is being affected by that. That's when you start to feel good about different things that you maybe have invested in over time. You hear of someone that you know who's benefited from it, and it's like, okay, yeah, I feel a lot better about the donation that I gave them.
Well, when they first started them, the first one was out of my local airport.
Right.
So I got to be there whenever the first flight came home. Like, the charity was from my area, blah blah blah, and so it was super emotional.
Elixir of life, right there, y'all. For those who don't know, they don't sponsor us, but Dr. Pepper is the elixir of life. Well, what do we have this week in history, man? Looks like we got a busy week.
It's
They had
not
a busy week too.
terrible. It's not terrible. It's a lot of good stuff. Like always, I'm not cutting anything out. I cut out I probably honestly we're probably reading about 2/3 of what events actually happened this week in
Right.
history, but I pick out, pretty relevant
Best
stuff. But there's just some stuff that I can't stomach cutting out.
one. Right.
So we're starting off with May 4th. May the 4th be with you. But this is back in 1494, so there was no
There was no.
Jedi's back then. During a second
Feels
journey
like
of
a mind
exploration
trick.
in the New World, Christopher Columbus discovers Jamaica. Obviously, Jamaica was already inhabited, so he really didn't discover it, which is the huge argument these days. But
I
he
thought the
discovered it.
Beach Boys discovered Jamaica.
Oh,
Aruba, Jamaica.
I thought that was California
Oh, maybe it
with the,
was.
with the girls.
Could have been. Could have been.
California dreaming, right?
Right. May 1st, 1707, Great Britain first was formed from a union between England and Scotland. The union included Wales, which had already been part of England since the 1500s. The United Kingdom today consists of Great Britain and Northern Ireland.
And I'm
So a little
pretty
bit of
sure the
Speedy's history.
Northern Islanders have something to say about that.
Yeah, I know that the Irish have something to say about that
Yeah.
on a
So
regular basis.
the British are like, yeah, the Irish are actually really British people, and the Irish are like, yeah, about that.
Right?
April 30th, 1789. We got a lot of old history.
Yeah.
1789, George Washington became the first United States president as he was administered the oath of office on the balcony of Federal Hall at the corner of Wall and Broad Streets in New York City. Those are still famous
Famous
streets in New York
places.
City.
Yep.
Wall Street and Broad Street.
Sure are. May 5th, 1865. This one is important to me because I take part in this almost every year. I was not able to today, but almost every year I take part in this. Decoration Days, first observed in the U.S. with the tradition of decorating soldiers' graves from the Civil War with flowers. The observation, the observance, I cannot talk.
There you
The
go.
observance date was later moved to May 30th and included American graves from World War I and World War II, and better became known as Memorial Day. In 1971, Congress moved Memorial Day to the last Monday in May, thus creating a 3-day holiday weekend. So Decoration Day is still a thing. It's not as popular as Memorial Day, but if you live near a veteran cemetery in the United States, if you notice today, there was probably a lot more flags and wreaths placed today than most days of the year, other than maybe Veterans Day or the 4th of July.
So in my area, we do our American Legion does the decorations for veteran memorials, and my family takes part in that every year. Obviously, I force the kids to do it,
Right.
but they've gained an appreciation for it. You know, we load up 100 American flags in the back of the pickup truck. You know, just the little ones, just the
Yep.
12-inch by 18-inch, whatever
12
it
by
is.
18s. Yep.
But we walk every single row, every single grave, and look for any gravestone that has a marker that, if someone was a veteran or a member of the VFW or anything that would, designate them
Right.
as a veteran, and we place the flag. And I remember like the first year we did it, the kids were like, "What are we doing?"
Right.
And then now we're like
Now they
5 years
look
in or
forward
whatever,
to it.
and yeah, they're like, they kind of understand like this is an honorable thing, and
Right.
it's cool to see. And it's not just us to show up. Obviously some other people do it
Right.
too. And it's cool to.
Well,
It's
see,
it's
on
a real.
Veterans Day, we do that at the Veterans Cemetery here. And this past year, we put out 120,000 flags in 6 hours. The community came out in force, and
That's awesome.
we did it. I mean, it's really cool when you get there and you see 3 Boy Scout troops out there teaching young men to respect our veterans and to respect those who died in service.
Go ahead and take this next one. I got to make a note because we're gonna have someone else talk to. Actually, we have a high school teacher. My high school science teacher was given a grant to do some research. We had I think it was 7 Civil War veteran graves in my hometown, right?
Oh,
My
cool.
hometown's 1,000 people. They were so worn and eroded that they had no idea who they belonged to. And this guy was given a grant to take his high school class and study the headstones and
That's cool.
find the heritage of where they came from. And they were able to be given new headstones by the VA, and they installed them. So we're gonna get that guy on our
That's
show.
awesome. Yeah, we need to get him on the show. Okay, April 30th, 1948, Palestinian Jews declared their independence from British rule and established the new state of Israel. The country soon became a destination for tens of thousands of Nazi Holocaust survivors and a very strong U.S. ally. And for those of you who don't like to read, you could check out a movie. If I remember right, the name of it is Cast a Giant Shadow. Um, the story of how Israel became a state. It's fairly true to history with just a little bit of drama thrown in. It's an older movie, I believe it's from the 1950s, but it's pretty true to history.
Them dang Brits.
I know they're everywhere.
May 1st, 1960. An American U-2 spy plane flying at 60,000 feet was shot down over, oh boy, Sverdlovsk in central
Verdansk.
Russia.
Verdansk. That's what that looks like.
Yeah, I have no idea what that is.
I have
Something
no idea.
something
Yeah.
swervy. In Russia on the eve of a summit between President Dwight D. Eisenhower and the Soviet Russia's Premier Nikita Khrushchev. The sensational incident caused a cancellation of the meeting and heightened existing Cold War tensions. The pilot, CIA
CIA
agent,
cowboy. No.
no, you cannot fly a U-2.
I can't.
Pilot was
I had a
CIA.
U2 and FSX.
You had a U-2 CD, is what you had. Francis Gary Powers survived the crash and was tried, convicted, and sentenced to 10 years in prison by a Russian court. 2 years later, he was released to America in exchange for an imprisoned Soviet spy. On his return to America, Powers encountered a hostile public, which apparently believed he should not have allowed himself to be captured alive. He died in a helicopter crash in 1977. Wow, that's fitting.
That's sad. Um, on the other side of that, exchanging a U.S. pilot for a spy, I'm all for that. But let's keep our freaking basketball players where they belong. Moving on, before I
Well,
get banned.
look, if you write that down if you want to talk about that, because I'll give you a perspective you never thought of.
Okay, we'll add that to topics for later. It might be a good one. May 5th, 1961. Alan Shepard became the first American in space. He piloted the spacecraft Freedom 7 during a 15-minute, 28-second suborbital flight that reached an altitude of 116 miles, 186 kilometers for our British friends, above the Earth. Shepard's success occurred 23 days after the Russians had launched the first ever human in space, who was cosmonaut Yuri Gagarin, during an era of intense technological competition between the Russians and Americans called the space race. Now, I wasn't alive during the 1960s for
You
the
weren't?
initial space race, but I remember the 80s, there was still a lot of tension regarding the use of outer space and America's push to gain as much knowledge as they could. And then eventually in the 90s, we began working with others with the uh, International Space Station. So, yeah. And, we talked last week or the week before about one of the Russian cosmonauts being up in the Russian space station when the Soviet Union fell, and so he came home to a completely different country.
Yeah,
That
that was it was actually like almost 2 weeks in a row. It was different guys, but the week before last was whenever this week in history was whenever the Soviet Union fell, and then the week after that was the guy came home to the Cuban Missile Crisis.
right. Welcome, welcome home, suckers.
Right. All right. May. No, you just did May 5th, didn't you?
Yep. Next one down, April 30th.
Next page. And my computer's locked up. Can you hear me?
Yep, I hear you.
All right. Well, I can't do nothing, so you're just gonna have to listen to me, I guess. What the heck? I don't
I'm
know who built
listening.
this computer, but it's junk. April 30th, 1967. Boxer Muhammad Ali was stripped of his World Heavyweight Boxing Championship after refusing to be inducted into the military. He had claimed a religious exemption. I am not a fan of this. Obviously, I'm a fan of Muhammad Ali because he's, probably the greatest boxer of all time. But as far as him claiming some sort of exemption for military service, I'm not into it.
No, I'm not either. Um, I'm not a fan of anybody that would turn their back on the American military. At the same time, I don't think that it's just that he is stripped of a title he fairly won in something unrelated. Um, you know, that kind of I don't know. I mean, I guess things were done a little differently back then. Everything was a lot more connected. That would never fly in today's world.
It was a little cruder back then, right?
Yeah,
That they were like, "Oh, you don't want to fight for your country? Well, you're also not going to fight for your country then."
right. And two, you're looking at the 1960s. Racism was a very real thing back then. That and not to say that racism doesn't exist today, but it's not out in the open the way it was in 1967. So it was a lot easier to strip a man of color from something he owned or something he had earned. And so that I guess
Yeah.
that's why that flew. It wouldn't fly today, though, I don't believe. May 4th, 1970. Kent State University, 4 students, Allison Krause, 19, Sandra Lee Shure, 20, Jeffrey Glenn Miller, 20, and William K. Schroeder, 19, were killed by National Guardsmen who opened fire on a crowd of 1,000 students protesting President Richard Nixon's decision to invade Cambodia. 11 others were wounded. The shooting set off tumultuous campus demonstrations across America, which resulted in the temporary closing of over 450 colleges and universities. That is known as the Kent State Massacre, I think they call that. I know I've heard that referenced before.
Yeah, this is
Too.
a famous event that no one can quote. I mean, as shitty as it sounds for me to say that, it's a thing that everybody knows happened. Everybody remembers them college kids out there protesting in peace, right? And then the government killed them. Like everybody knows that part of it. You know, what were they doing in national politics? I guess like what, how peaceful could the protest have been for National
National
Guardsmen?
Guard to
Which
feel threatened.
right, like, and
Yeah,
I'm not taking anybody's side, but I'm just asking a question. Like I don't know what they were doing, but the National Guard, 1,000 students. and they were, I'm assuming, outnumbered, right?
Yeah.
A National Guard brigade is 1,200, so
They never send the same number of people to quell a riot that are actually starting it. If they had, most of the
right.
U.S. military would have been in Minneapolis this past few years.
Oh boy, fence it off. April 29th, 1992. Now we're talking our era.
Yep, I remember
LA,
this.
LA riots. They erupted following the announcement that a jury in Simi Valley, California, had failed to convict 4 Los Angeles police officers accused in the videotaped beating of an African American man.
That would be later known as the Rodney King beating. And I remember they burned a lot of LA. They rolled buses. I remember watching them roll buses over, groups of 50, 60 people pushing city buses over and setting them on fire. People were killed. A lot of shops were vandalized. I don't I don't understand that mentality, I guess.
Either
I mean,
it's not sanitary. It's not sorry, not sanitary is not the
it's
word.
not that
It's
either,
it's
but
not sane thought. It's it's insane thought.
right, you end
It,
up
it
punishing people that are not doing anything related to what happened.
well, you everyone's familiar with the term the mob mentality, right?
Right.
And I don't know if you've ever been involved in any sort of um like say group assault on someone or something, but like your brain literally it transforms into something that's not normal. It tells you
Yep.
things are okay in the moment that aren't really okay in your normal life. Like you
Yep.
might go home to your house and be like, man, man, like
Can't believe I did that.
right. And I agree. I do not understand why you would burn down the Radio Shack in your own town. It doesn't make sense to me. But I do understand the mob mentality to where I'm in a group of people that are doing some crazy shit, and afterwards it's not okay, and we know it's not okay. But at the time, rationality is not in your
It
thought
makes
process.
sense in the moment. Yep. May 1st, 2004, 8 former communist nations and 2 Mediterranean countries joined the European Union, the EU, marking its largest ever expansion. The new members included Poland, Hungary, the Czech Republic, Slovakia, Slovenia, Lithuania, Latvia, Estonia, along with the island of Malta and the Greek portion of the island of Cyprus. They joined 15 countries who were already in the EU, representing in all 450 million persons. It's a lot of persons,
So that's a decade after, about 13 years after the USSR fell, right?
right?
And that's, I believe, those Czech Republic, Slovakia, Slovenia. I think those are all countries that were
They
left
were all
over from the
part of it.
split, right?
Yep.
Yeah, those are all countries from the split. So they finally got their like independence and made a move for themselves. It seems like.
Yep.
All right, we got May 2nd,
I'm letting you take
2011.
this one for sure.
Sorry, my computer locked up again. I just had to close like 3 windows. I only have our program open now, so I can't see myself. I hope I look good. I
You
can hear
ugly
myself.
like always.
Nah, you ugly. May 2nd, 2011. U.S. Special Operation Forces killed, oh shit, yeah, killed Osama bin Laden during a raid on his secret compound in somewhere in Pakistan. The raid marked the culmination of a decade-long manhunt for the elusive leader of the Al-Qaeda terrorist organization based in the Middle East. Bin Laden had ordered the coordinated aerial attacks of September 11, 2001, which 4 American passenger jets were hijacked and crashed, killing nearly 3,000 persons. 2 jets had struck and subsequently collapsed the 110-story Twin Towers of the World Trade Center in New York, while another struck the Pentagon building in Washington, D.C. A 4th jet, also headed towards Washington, had crashed into a field in Pennsylvania as passengers attempted to overpower the hijackers on board. So this day is a proud day for our United States military.
To quote The Rock on Twitter, shortly before the rest of the world was informed, today I am proud to be an American.
Yeah, it was
He was informed early because he happened to have somebody that he knew who was there,
of
and
course.
he received a text message letting him know that it had happened. And I thought that was false information. I went and researched it, and apparently it actually is true. He tweeted about 2 hours before the president addressed the nation.
That was. Have you ever seen the interview of the guy who actually pulled the trigger on Osama? He gave.
No.
He was okay. So he he was at a Kid Rock concert. This Green Beret guy, right? The special ops guy. He was at a Kid Rock concert, and apparently Kid Rock. I don't know if he recognized him, invited him on stage, or whatever. But either way, Kid Rock gave him the mic and said, "Tell your story."
That's pretty cool.
And he got up there and said, like, I'm not. I don't want to quote the exact story because obviously it's not mine to say. But the long and short of it was, like, yeah, me and my buddies went to clear this house because we do black ops all the time, and we're out there just, hey, this is a terrorist house, go clear the house, and we pop in the room, ba boom, ba boom, ba boom, everything's done, and by the time it was over with, my buddy came over and grabbed me. He said, "Do you know who that was?" And dude's like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "That first dude in the room. Do you know who that was?" That was Osama bin Laden. Like, he
Crazy.
didn't even know at the time. He was,
Yeah, I'd
Yep.
never seen that, but I have met about 16 different people who killed him.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. I'm
You
sure
know,
this
there,
guy was actually he got a lot of negative fallout after that because in the Black Ops community now, again, I'm not in the Black Ops community, Special Ops, Green Berets, Special Forces, SEALs, none of that shit, right? But it is understood that in that community, basically Rangers and above, you don't talk about the shit you do.
right.
Everybody else, you can talk about shit you do.
Don't
Rangers and
talk about
above,
it, be
don't
about it.
talk about it. Exactly right. And this dude was about it, and then ended up getting out. Getting older, whatever, getting out, and he decided he's going to tell the story once. He had probably had some vodka lemonades or whatever, but yeah, told
I
the story
know
once, and it was a very compelling and awesome story to hear.
I know I've talked to guys both active and retired SEALs, and they tend to not have much respect for people like Dick Marcinko and other people who write books and share information about the type of stuff that they do. And one guy told me it's for two reasons. Number one, we don't want other people to know any of our tactics, for one thing. He
Right.
said, but for the other thing, he said, you don't share stuff like that. He says it's not something you talk about. It's something you do because it's part of the job, and then you go on with your life afterwards.
Well, there's two reasons to share those stories. Only two. One of those reasons is acceptable. One of them is not acceptable under any circumstances. So, reason number one, the acceptable reason, is that you're on your deathbed and you got some shit to say, and you've earned the right to say it. Okay. So, like, for example, myself, I have an entire repertoire of memoirs. I've got all my stories, all the crazy shit that my that I've been through is in a document somewhere.
Right.
But it's not going to come out while I'm alive because we don't talk about it, right? The reason it's unacceptable is to gain glory or fame.
To be somebody.
You don't do the things you do to gain glory, and that
Right.
we literally call those people glory seekers, right? Like, you've heard of stolen valor, right?
Yep.
Stolen valor doesn't just exist among civilians who pretended that they served in the military. Stolen valor exists more in the military than it does
Yep.
in the civilian world. You have guys who spent 6 months in Kuwait working at Burger King, and I shit you not, there's a Burger King in Kuwait, 100% fact, on the American base. Those guys are writing home telling mom they did this today and they did that today, and you should be
Yeah.
proud of me, and blah blah blah. And then you got guys like me and the amazing people I served with that are like, all right, peace, give me a burger. I got to go to fucking Iraq now.
Right.
I'm gonna drive. I drove my fucking Humvee. I shit you not, from Kuwait City to Baghdad because it was the first group of armored Humvees in the country. We had to drive them there because we didn't have planes ready to take those heavy ass vehicles there.
Right.
But we left we call them FOBits. Forward operating base is FOB. So if you're a guy who never leaves base, you're a FOBit.
Fobbit.
Yeah.
Got that. That's funny. Well, we have some birthdays and holidays that took place this week in history. April 29th, Japan's Emperor Hirohito, 1901 to 1989, was born in Tokyo. In 1926, he became the 124th in a long line of monarchs and then presided over wartime Japan, which was led by militarist Prime Minister Hideki Toho. Following the dropping
Toho's
of two,
Spanish. It's Tojo.
is it Tojo? Okay, Tojo.
Hard J's over there in Japan.
Following the dropping of two atomic bombs by the U.S., he made a radio address urging his people to stop fighting. After the war, he remained the symbolic head of state in Japan's new parliamentary government, and in 1946 he renounced his divinity and then pursued his interest in marine biology, becoming a recognized authority in the subject. So I guess he would have been 45 years old when he decided that he was no longer a god of the Japanese people.
Yeah, so the divinity comes from the pure bloodline of Japanese emperors, right?
Right.
Yeah, and that's what he renounced. That is basically saying he was one of the first to say that even though my bloodline states I should be the emperor, we're done with that.
So he pulled a, was it Prince Harry or Prince William? Which one of them just moved to the U.S. and
Couldn't tell you, don't care. No
somebody
offense, Speedy.
somebody told me that they asked
Hey, no
for
offense,
the
Speedy.
U.S. to provide Secret Service protection for their family.
I heard
And I'm
that.
like, no. I mean, I get that you're a high profile person, but there are thousands of high profile people living all up and down the West Coast in perfect peace, you know. And with the money you got, you can probably hire better security than we can provide. So
Pay taxes. All right.
let's see. Cowbell Cody says, what I said earlier was a quote from the band of Sublime. He stole his guitar during the LA riots and then wrote the hit song years later. Okay, I missed that earlier
I
comment.
didn't
So
see that
that
comment either.
where did I miss
Oh,
that?
where do you think I got this guitar that I'm playing today?
Oh, okay, yeah,
Okay.
that makes
Yeah.
oh,
Everybody knows Sublime. I didn't
I
see
did
it,
not know
to be
that.
honest.
He stole a guitar during the riots. Huh, should have prosecuted him. I'm just saying, you admitted to theft in public, but they don't prosecute theft in California unless it's over $1,000. All right, let's see. Where are we at?
I don't know. I
May
sent them.
1st.
Yeah, there we go. All right. Oh yeah, this is a good one. Observed as May Day, a holiday and spring festival since ancient times, also observed in socialist countries as a workers' holiday or Labor Day.
Like
So
that day.
we got a
Isn't it
Labor
funny
Day.
we take off on Labor Day?
Well, yeah, to celebrate the labor that we've done thus far.
Here's a question. Why doesn't Labor Day celebrate expecting mothers?
Oh God, don't get people started. That'll be the next
Hey,
thing. Labor
I
Day
mean,
is sexist now.
because
Thanks,
you could have Labor
thanks
Day that
CIA
day,
Cowboy. Now Labor Day is a sexist holiday. Awesome.
Labor Day that day, and next day is push 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 day. May 1st, Irish-born American labor leader Mary Mother Jones, 1830 to 1930, was born in County Cork, Ireland. She endured misfortune early in life as her husband and 4 children died in the yellow fever epidemic of 1867. She also lost all of her belongings in the Chicago fire of 1871. She then devoted herself to organizing and advancing the cause of labor using the slogan, Join the Union, Boys.
Join the
She
union,
also
boys.
she also sought to prohibit child labor. She remained active until the very end, giving her last speech on her 100th birthday. Impressive. Tough lady,
I thought that should be included in the spirit of Labor Day, right?
right? Makes sense. Hopefully, she doesn't ever affect my children. I prefer my children to labor.
Same.
Wash the frickin' dishes.
I think more her idea was laboring for 25 cents an hour.
Yeah, that I'm not okay with. Why
You
would
know,
we pay them 25 cents an hour? Feed them, don't we?
if my kids learn how to make Nikes, I'll give them 25 cents an hour.
Hey, my kids learn how to make Nikes. I'll give them $5 an hour. But
May
hey,
one.
get to it.
Well, this is May 1 again, but this is World War II. General Mark Clark was born in Madison Barracks, New York. He commanded the U.S. Fifth Army, which invaded Italy in September 5th of 1943, fighting along in brutal campaign against the stubborn German opposition. So
Tough dude.
the Italian peninsula was not. It's not a famous part of World War II. You know what I mean?
It's not made
when we think,
popular in the movies.
yeah, we think of World War II. We think about D-Day and the Eagle's Nest and the Philippines and all that. Japan and stuff like that. But Italy was a lot of brutal fighting against a very embedded enemy.
Right.
And this guy was basically the commander of the army group that split the Italian and German forces. He was the Italians eventually said, I don't think we can stick with you guys no more. They're kind of kicking our asses. So anyways, and also I included this because the 5th Army, we just talked about the 5th Army commanders
Yep.
last week.
Yep. How far have they fallen?
I don't know, and I'm not going to research it.
May 1st, Olympic athlete Archie Williams, 1915 and 1993, was born in Oakland, California. Williams, along with Jesse Owens, defeated some Germans, defeated German athletes at the 1936 Berlin Olympics, and helped debunk Adolf Hitler's theory of Aryan racial superiority. Williams won a gold medal in the 400-meter race. After the Olympics, he went on to earn a mechanical engineering degree from the University of California, Berkeley, but faced discrimination and wound up digging ditches. He later became an airplane pilot and trained Tuskegee Institute pilots, including the Black Air Corps of World War II, aka the Red Tails.
This is a trick statement. I deleted some certain parts of this statement. Do you have any idea what words I deleted? I only deleted 2 words of this whole statement.
Of that section I just read?
Yep. I deleted the words African American.
I kind of figured that's where that was going to go.
Because that statement read as a very, very racial statement about the. I could be right, I could be wrong. We could disagree, and that's what we're here for, right?
Right.
They played this guy's fame on the fact that he was an African American. He's a black man who succeeded in the Olympics, in Germany.
Well, I knew that's where it was going. I didn't realize you had deleted anything out of there, but I knew that's where it was going because of
it was a test. Yeah, it was a test. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to delete the words African American out of the whole statement, and then we'll read it. Are we still proud of this guy?
Heck yeah. He beat the hell out of 2 Germans.
That's my whole point. We're still proud of this guy.
Who cares
Everybody
what color
can be proud
he
of him. It is just African Americans not to be proud of him. We can all be proud of him all together.
American.
Hey, Jesse Owens. May 3rd, Italian writer and statesman Niccolo Machiavelli was born in Florence, Italy. He offered a blunt, realistic view of human nature and power in his works, The Prince and Discourses on Livy. Livy was a Roman statesman and poet, I guess you could say. Writer anyway. Everybody knows Machiavelli, right?
Yep. Everybody's heard the name at some point. May the 5th, celebrated in Mexico City as Cinco de Mayo, a national holiday in remembrance of the Battle of Puebla in 1862, in which Mexican troops under General Ignacio Zaragoza, outnumbered 3-1, defeated the invading French forces of Napoleon III. And they now celebrate by putting their mayonnaise in the sink on May the 5th and posting it on Facebook.
I don't get it.
Cinco de Mayo.
Surely
you've seen the post all over Facebook today.
I've not been on Facebook today, actually.
I haven't been on there very much. I checked it once this morning, and it was already littered with it.
I served in Afghanistan with a Mexican staff sergeant named Zaragoza. I wonder if they are related.
That'd be interesting to find out.
How cool would that be if he could trace his bloodline back to that dude?
You've never seen that either, Meat Shield? What kind of dad are you to not know that dad joke? Holy crap. We got broken dads in chat.
All right. Another May 5th, communism founder Karl Marx. Man, there's a lot of bad people who got birthdays. He was born in Treves, Germany. He co-authored Das Kapital and the Communist Manifesto, advocating the abolition of all private property and a system in which workers own all the means of production, land, factories, and machineries. So, probably started off as a good idea, but kind of crazy, Carl. Kind of crazy.
Crazy man. And honestly, and guys, I've said this before, I'm going to say it again. Do not take this as an un American statement because it's not. America is the greatest country on earth. But in reality, if every member of society was perfect and would put forth all of their effort to making the society better, communism would be the best form of government. But it requires that every single member of society be perfect. And since they are not, it does not ever work, as history has shown us time and time again.
I don't want to be. I don't want to be perfect. I want to be in control.
Right. That's what all communist leaders want.
I just say it right. I don't care what you think of me as long as I control everything.
All right, so we got a couple upcoming events for veterans and first responders.
I've been
Uh,
putting a little bit more work into the upcoming events. We had a couple episodes where I just said, "Yeah, there's some upcoming events. Click the link." Man, nobody's interested in just clicking links. I don't know why you guys can't click the link and go look at what's upcoming in your neighborhoods, but we're gonna outline some shit this week. Uh, this first one, you want to take it or you want me to take it?
you take this one. I love this event. I'm actually familiar with it.
Well, then take it because I'm not. I just researched it this week.
May the 6th from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern Time, raising the voices of Gold Star families. This is a virtual event, which means you don't have to go anywhere. Gold Star spouse Krista Simpson Anderson joins us to share her story and how the loss of her husband, U.S. Army Staff Sergeant Michael H. Simpson, inspired her to co found the Unquiet Professional, an organization committed to recognizing and honoring our nation's Gold Star families and veterans by providing rewarding and purposeful opportunities. If you'd like to tune in on YouTube, here's the link. And the link is included in the document that was pinned at the top of chat, but doesn't appear to be anymore.
Uh-oh, that's not good.
So I will get that link. I'm going to post that in chat. I've actually heard of this before. This will be a really good event where you can learn about the loss and how families are dealing with it who have lost somebody in service. Raising the voices of Gold Star families. This is a really good event.
So a Gold Star family is what?
Gold Star family is someone who has lost someone who is in the service, whether they were active duty and killed in the line of duty or whether they died outside the line of duty. If they lost somebody during active service, then that would be a Gold Star family. We actually have a family here that lost two young men in their family in one day. They were coming from Memphis. They came home to Memphis. No, they came from Louisiana to Memphis. They are from Memphis originally, but they came here to do some training at the Navy base. And then they were headed back to Louisiana. And these two young men saw a young lady on the side of the road with a flat tire. And they stopped to help her change the tire. And while they were doing that, they got hit by a passing truck and it killed both of them.
Golly.
And they got full military honors at their funeral. It was considered killed on active duty, even though it was stateside. Um, that I have never seen that many people turn out for a veteran funeral. There was probably 10,000 people at the cemetery at West Tennessee Veteran Cemetery that day to support that family. They were related, they were cousins. And so it's two different families, but both related to each other,
Right.
lost somebody that day. And they're Gold Star families, just as much as the lady who lost her husband that we spoke to on stream a few weeks ago lost her husband and her fiance.
Husband and fiance.
Yep. Or brother and fiance. That's the word I'm looking for. I'm sorry, guys.
Oh
I'm
my
sorry.
golly.
It's been a crazy week, and my mind, as much as I'm trying to keep it where it needs to be, is a little bit scattered today. I apologize for that.
It's all good. I'm just busting balls.
Yeah, it's all right.
Another
We're
event
good.
coming up May 9th this week, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. Eastern Time. All these are in local time. So where the event is hosted, that's what the times I put up there. This is a Soldiers Angels Military and Veteran Food Distribution. The monthly Soldiers Angels Military and Veteran Food Distribution event will provide approximately 75 pounds of groceries for service members and veterans in need in the Charleston area. Service members and veterans must register ahead of time for this event and provide proof of military or veteran status. There is a link right below that paragraph. Simple as that. If you are a veteran, if you know a veteran in the area, and this doesn't just happen, this particular one is in Charleston, South Carolina. This happens everywhere. So
Yep.
click the links. If you guys know someone who needs help, there's tons of resources out there.
And a lot of these places have pages that you can go to find local resources to you. You simply put your zip code in or the name of your city and state, and they'll connect you with local resources too.
You'll find the last link of our conversation here is that.
Perfect. May 9th, 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. Mountain time. Different time zone, y'all. So that would be 1 hour past where I'm at. So that would be 10 a.m. Central Time, 11 a.m. Eastern Time. Veterans Benefit Seminar in Post Falls, Idaho from DAV, the Disabled American Veterans. The DAV is a nonprofit charity that provides a lifetime of support for veterans of all generations and their families, helping more than 1 million veterans with positive, life-changing ways each year. One of the various services the DAV provides at no cost is our information seminar program. These seminars are available all across the country to help veterans and their families obtain the services and benefits that they have earned. Staffed by DAV National Service Officers, our information seminars provide professional support throughout the claims and appeals process. Veterans attending a seminar should bring identification, their social security number, and any other pertinent documentation regarding their military service. DAV membership is not required to utilize these free services. And the link to that is there. And it says there are several of these seminars this week and every week, one in Moscow, Idaho, one in Everett, Washington, Casper, Wyoming, and several more. So that's something
This is
beneficial for
really an
that.
awesome thing. So, do you remember maybe 2 months ago we had Sharpay Lady on here, right? Asking about, hey, my dad's a veteran. He's
Yep.
always struggled with getting an address. What do we do? Click that link. That's what you do right there.
Yep.
These
They'll help
people
you.
you're not paying their salary. Their salary is already paid. You bring your DD-214, your social security card, your driver's license in there so they can positively identify you and say, yep, you are this veteran that you claim to be. Here is everything that you are entitled to. That's literally
Right.
their whole job. That's what the DAV does at no cost to the veteran.
DAV is it's an incredible organization. They do a lot of work locally here in Memphis as well.
I mean, honestly, all big towns, any town over, probably 50,000 has these people there somewhere or has had. You know what I mean? Like they're a huge group and they do a lot of good stuff. But like they do make you prove, like I say, they do make you prove who you are and what you did. So
Right. Which is good.
I
And then
agree.
in the document there, folks, in the pinned document just below this section, you'll see a link for events this week from the VA. And that's the local link you were talking about, correct?
That is literally the nationwide link for today, May 5th, through 7 days from now, May 12th. Every event in our country that the VA sponsors. Not
Nice.
sponsors even financially. I'm saying that the VA promotes. There you go.
Now, before we go to the break, because we are up to the break,
Thank the
I
Lord, I
have
got to empty the
something.
bucket.
I have something I want to show on stream, and I have been waiting for this to get here on Pins and Needles. I'm so excited about this. Guys, we have something very
Is
special.
this the new double-ended?
No. Grow up.
Your face is the color of my shirt right now.
Check this out. Let's see if I can get a good
Oh
shot
yeah,
of it here.
yeah, that looks
Doesn't
good.
that look great? So I got a custom
Spin it.
holster that was made to my
Nice.
order from All Red Custom Leathers on Facebook. This guy does some incredible freaking work.
Aim it off your left shoulder there, so we can read Patriot View.
Can you, I don't know if I can get it close enough. Yeah,
Put it
there we go.
sideways.
I don't know which way to roll it.
Pistol grip down. Yeah.
Let's see.
Oh, that made it worse.
Yeah,
There it is. There it is.
it's,
That
there we
looks
go.
good.
Patriot View. So I got that. And because I have a spare magazine, I had him make me a magazine holder. And
MAFO, for those of you who
yeah,
don't know, stands for My Ass Fell Out.
no, it stands for mess around and find out. Mess around and find out. So I have a nice magazine holder and a pistol holder. You can order a set, and these will be
What's that
tooled.
cost? $250?
No, not even close. So if you ordered this from most leather shops, you would be paying over $300 for a magazine holder and a holster. Um, for a custom ordered one like this, tooled any way you want it, you can get any designs that he has available to stamp on there, any kind of lettering you want. You can get the holster and the magazine holder for $130 shipped to your door within the United States, made to custom fit your pistol. Now, if you stick around and pay attention, I haven't set a date for it yet, but he has agreed to give us a holster. I don't know if the magazine holder is going to be included as well, but the holster for sure, to
We
give
can figure
away
it out.
on stream, and that will be custom made for the person who wins it. So we'll be announcing a date for that giveaway soon. But these guys, this is by far the nicest holster I've ever owned. And I've actually talked to two guys this week since I got it who make leather stuff. And they told me that they would actually purchase a holster from him before they would make one for themselves after looking at his work. So something to think about. The link to his profile, thank you, Speedy, is there in chat. You can
Heck
check
yeah.
out some of his other work. Incredible. And the best part is it's a veteran-owned business. So you're supporting a veteran when you order from Philip Allred.
Nice.
So I think we're up against the break. When we come back from the break and we do the veteran spotlight after that, why don't you tell us about the other giveaway we got? Because I'm pretty stoked about that one.
Me too. I really am looking forward to trying that out.
Yeah, me
All right,
too.
take us in the break there.
Get ready to live history and open your senses to nature during your pure Michigan family fun adventure at Mackinac State Historic Parks. Located at the Straits of Mackinac, where the Mackinac Bridge links Michigan's upper and lower peninsulas, Mackinac State Historic Parks is a family of living history museums and scenic nature parks. Spend an hour, spend the day. Your explorations will take you within the stone walls of Fort Mackinac and the wooden palisade of colonial Michilimackinac. You'll find memorable discoveries within Old Mackinac Point Lighthouse and within the densely forested nature park of historic Mill Creek Discovery Park, where you'll fly like an eagle and explore nature from the treetops. So open your imagination and let history and nature inspire you to create your own story.
Come have a blast at Mackinac.
When you step inside the many Mackinac State Historic Parks, living history museums, and nature parks, it's about you. Choose one experience or immerse yourself in them all. It's your day, your adventure, your story to create. It'll be your story to tell. This is Mackinac State Historic Parks, and we invite you to smell the smoke from the rifle fire, feel the heat of an open hearth, climb a tower of history, and walk across nature. While at our parks, browse each museum store that offers themed keepsakes unique to each park, treasures to take home, and remember where you've been, what you've seen, and how much you've done. Several of our parks also offer lunch foods and beverages. Stop by the Visitor Center at each site to find out more. The Visitor Center for our Mackinac Island Parks is located on Main Street, across from Marquette Park. As National Historic Landmarks and accredited multiple times by the American Association of Museums, these gems of Mackinac are unique living history experiences that are here for your imagination, your participation, and your creation.
Come have a blast
Welcome to Mackinac State Historic Parks.
All right. So Patriotic will be back momentarily, but that was a look at Mackinac Parks up in Michigan. Very, very pretty place. Really cool history there. I spotted that video and wasn't, started actually looking into it. There's actually quite a bit of history there in the state of Michigan. And so I found the video pretty interesting. Actually makes me want to go up there. And I don't have a whole lot of reasons for visiting the state of Michigan. Welcome back, Patriotic. Oh, he can't hear me. I can't hear him.
Yeah, I'm muted. That's why, probably.
There we go.
Sorry,
Welcome
I
back.
really had to empty the bucket. That's terrible.
Big bucket, huh?
All right, where are we at? Welcome back.
We are just past the break. We watched a video on Mackinac State Parks, and now we're headed into a veteran spotlight. Why don't you tell us a little bit about Sergeant Alec Coons?
Well, first I want to tell you a little bit about the veteran spotlight. So it was brought to my attention that it might be viewed as more of a part of the break, and that is not why we spotlight veterans. So
Right.
I want it to be part of our show. So we're gonna all watch it together. This particular guy, Sergeant Alex Coons, I served with in Operation Iraqi Freedom 3 from 2005 to 2006. We got home 6/6 of 06 together. That's a crazy date. Actually, he was on the bus with me when we arrived home. He's from about 3 hours south of me, so we rode the same bus from the airport. And that bus ride was the first time I had ever seen the Patriot Guard. I couldn't even tell you how many motorcycles and state
Pretty
police and
cool,
everybody escorting our bus from the airport to home. And yeah, it was amazing. So this dude, I personally spent 18 months deployed with. Awesome fella. I Someday, if this show gets to such a point to where I start telling war stories and stuff, you'll hear his name come up. I'm not prepared to do all that yet, but he's a good dude. So please pay attention, watch the video, and help me appreciate his service.
Absolutely.
Yep.
I'm Alex Coons, where I served in the Illinois Army National Guard from 2003 to 2009. Served in Iraq from 2005 2006 as an infantryman. I got out as a Sergeant E5. From the time I got out to now, basically I'm iron worker, welder, pipe fitter, whatever the skilled trade is. I learn it and I go from there.
All right.
Oh yeah, we appreciate that, dude. So that first picture was a picture of us, and it was one of Saddam Hussein's sons. Not Uday. It was like Kusay, or I don't know what the fuck their names are. Pardon the language, or not. But is one of his like weekend retreat palaces, I guess you might call it, in the rubble. Obviously, we bombed the hell out of it. The second picture was just us getting ready to go out for a mission, and 2 of the people in the second picture are no longer with us. The third picture was we probably spent too much time partying out the night before, and we didn't get up in time for PT. And so old Sarge was saying, "You're going to do some extra PT," giving the old knife hand, yelling at us. But yeah, that's a good dude, man. He, like I said, he lives a few hours south of me. We both stayed where we grew up. We just happened to get deployed together. He's an awesome man. Awesome man. Loves Harley Davidsons. You couldn't tell from his garage.
Yeah, I think I get along pretty good with him, other
Yeah,
than
he's
the
all right.
Harley stuff.
We nicknamed him the straight shooter.
Need
And
I ask why?
it wasn't because he could shoot straight.
Well, man, you brought something to us this week. You reached out to a YouTube channel called
Yep.
Moments, and you found us something very special that we want to share with the stream today. Do you want to tell us about it, or just roll into it?
The only thing I'm going to say about it is get out your Kleenexes. Be prepared, because if this hits anyone watching the way it hit me, the next 30 minutes of your life is going to be sad. This is not a 30-minute video. That's not what I'm saying, but I'm just saying, we think about, everybody flies a POW MIA flag. Everybody's got a MIA t-shirt, or, it's just, you see it out there, and all the time we forget what it means, and we don't
Yep.
think about the challenges and the hardships that these people face. And I'm not talking about, obviously the POWs faced a ton of hardships, and that we could never repay that. But the missing soldiers, their families, and that's kind of what this video is about. Is whenever a country has missing soldiers, what happens? What happens afterwards? So this is a short video, super emotional, about one particular soldier who we hope to find. So let's go ahead and roll that video.
Pa! Inche!
Oh! Tentai Chichan, tayang kuokan.
Kuwaive ba?
Komok no ilin mai. Ndako va.
Hello?
Barbara Riley?
Yes?
Ma'am, it's about your husband. Something's been recovered. We verified the identification tags for authenticity, and I assume you can speak to the validity of the ring.
I knew the moment I saw it. We had it engraved on our first anniversary. With you forever. Was there anything else?
Ma'am, that's all the fisherman and his son found. But they did give us a location, which means the excavation team knows where to begin the search.
Bless their hearts.
Barbara, this is just a first step, but we're going to do everything we can to find him.
Bring him home.
So, yeah, that video there.
Gut punch. Just straight up gut punch.
That's real. That's 100% fact right there. The whole video.
True story.
That's really his wife. She's really that old now. They really found a fisherman and his son really found a set of dog tags with a wedding ring still attached.
And they figured out who it belonged to and got it back to where it needed to be.
And so the U.S. currently is gaining the rights or whatever to excavate the area, try to find them.
Bring them home, one at a time. Bring them all home. It's, that one hits close. You know, it's just I don't know. You know, you see her, and my first thought when I first saw that was that she was an actress, but you're right, it is actually his wife.
It
And
is.
so the emotion that she's showing there, yeah, I'm sure the scene was set with the officers being there.
Oh, yeah,
And it wasn't
absolutely.
done real time.
It's
But
still a
the emotion
production.
she's showing
Absolutely.
is real.
I mean, I've watched the video 19 times. I still got tears in my eyes. I don't know how
Yeah.
you can't. Like, I don't even know the guy. She, that was her love. Of course, that's real.
Yeah.
There's still over. Not to downplay that situation. There's still over 7,500 known missing in action right now. Obviously, they're unknown, right? But known to not be returned home. And people like that are still working every day to find them and get them here, bring them home. And that's, that's, sorry.
So that's deep.
That's what, that's all she wants. That's what she said, bring them home.
Yeah. Give them some closure. You know, while they're still living, you know, many, no doubt, many of the people who are MIA, their spouses have probably passed off the scene. We're losing Vietnam vets left and right. You know, you and I were talking the other day. It's crazy to us.
I talk about it all the
but
time. Every chance I get, I tell people, like, the vets we knew, there were the old men growing
Yep.
up and women. I've been criticized on that lately. The old vets we knew, those are the World War II guys when we were growing up. Like, man, that guy might be a hero. Like that
Right.
dude you see, with his cane, slumping across the basketball court to watch his grandkid play basketball. That might have been the guy. And those
There was
guys are now
always a sense of awe being around the guys who were there. You know, when you hear, oh, he jumped on D-Day. Wow, really? You know, I can't imagine that. You know, that's
you still can't
incredible.
imagine it.
No, and the Vietnam vets, same way for us. You know, and even more so for you because you've been in the boots. You know, but for my children, the Vietnam vets are to them what the World War II vets were to me. They are the heroes. They
Right,
are the men who stood between them and tyranny.
It's I would love to do a whole show in Vietnam sometime. Honestly,
Me too.
It's
I'd love to have a show on Vietnam.
Pardon the language. I'm preemptively saying excuse my French, but what a fucking shit show. Like, I don't
Yep.
know from top to bottom. I understand that our government has so many levels to it, and like we gotta do policies, we gotta do politics, we gotta do logistics, but I just, man, like Vietnam. I hope to God my war does not turn out to be the way the Vietnam turned out in the eyes of our public. That's the
Right.
scariest thing for Iraq and Afghanistan veterans
Yep.
is to be viewed the same way as our Vietnam vets were.
Well,
It's
and the guys who served in Afghanistan already have a taste of that in their mouths after the pullout that we did. You know, I've talked with them, and they're not happy about it. They're like, you know, what did we go over? Why did I lose my buddies? Why did I sweat and cry and bleed over there? Why have we been there for 30 years and then we just leave everything?
and the reason that the Afghanistan's in the conversation is because it's A, more recent, and B, more publicized.
Yep. Better covered for sure.
Well, whenever we started, so Barack Obama, I don't know if y'all remember this or not, promised a scaling down of combat support in Iraq first. And then I had already done 18 months in Iraq. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Downscaling. Like, if anything else, we need more time. Like, what we're doing is working. We need more time. Let it work. No one's mad. Like, the base premise that everyone needs to understand, for all you non-military types, you have to understand that if I signed up, especially if I signed up for the United States infantry, whether it be Army or Marines, that's the only two branches with infantry, period. If I signed up for the United States infantry, I did not sign up so I could go serve weekend deployments in Maine or do firearms training in Louisiana or do the NTC, the Desert Training Center out in California. What
You were
I
looking
signed
for the
up
fight.
because I want to fuck shit up. That's it. I want to go somewhere. Please give me an excuse. When I signed up, I had an excuse. Baby George Bush, George W. Bush said, "Hey, I don't really know who attacked our country, but we're gonna go pick somebody and we're gonna go put some buildings on the ground. You want to go?" And I said, "Absolutely, let's go. I'm with you, George. Let's do it." And that's the way. I guarantee you, the people who still have the gall to sign the line today have that calling. They want to go.
Takes a
They want
special
to
person.
do. You know what I mean? They
Yep.
don't want to sit on the sidelines. They want to go do stuff. And so I hate that politics plays so much into it. I do understand why it does, because we have ties with our states or our political parties, and obviously on a broader spectrum, our allies and enemies for that matter. But like with the Ukraine deal, do we want what's there or not? I guarantee you, if they put out a public poll right now, if the U.S. Army put out a Facebook post that says who wants to go to Ukraine and do some shit, you'd have 60,000 replies in 10 minutes.
Dude, you've already got retired veterans going
Like,
over as
send me.
mercenaries.
I know it.
Ukraine promised them, we'll pay you this much and give you a rifle. And
They're
guys are buying
recruiting.
plane tickets.
They're recruiting. I got the damn recruiting email. They're recruiting. Who wants to go? When you get here, we'll pay for your plane ticket. When you get here, you can pick out your rifle.
Yep.
Swear to God.
I mean, you may have to pick it out of somebody else's hands, but
it don't pay is the problem. There's zero pay.
Hey, Soggy Frito Pie, first time. Thanks for stopping by, brother. Good to see you in here.
Joshua, who's Joshua? What a terrible name.
I'll be seeing you on the track later in my mirror.
Well, when you wreck and spin sideways and you're rolling backwards down the track.
That's exactly right. Because it's usually the tail end of my car.
All right.
That's his.
Lighter end of the show. Take me away.
Constitutional education section. We're in Article 3, Section 2. It's another short section. Thankfully, we don't have an hour of dry cornbread reading tonight, y'all. We have managed to break this down. We fixed it. The judicial power shall extend to all cases in law and equity arising under this Constitution. Remember last week we talked about the establishment of the judicial branch of the government, the Supreme Court and the lower courts. The laws of the United States and treaties made or which shall be made under their authority to all cases affecting ambassadors, other public ministers, and consuls, to all cases of admiralty and maritime jurisdiction, to controversies to which the United States shall be a party, to controversies between two or more states, between a state and citizens of another state, between citizens of different states, between citizens of the same state claiming lands under grants of different states, and between a state or the citizens thereof and foreign states citizens are subject. Woo! Basically, that just says that the federal court system has the power. They get to determine what is law.
With all the state stuff, the reason that's such a goat rope is because they didn't have maps and stuff like we got today. Right. So whenever the controversies about the state lines and stuff, that's why it's in there, because there wasn't
really
hand-drawn
maps.
This tree didn't mark North Carolina, like it was,
right.
And plus they expected the addition of more states.
And what happens when West Virginia cuts down North Carolina's tree? You know,
Better not been a cherry tree. That's all I gotta say.
right? Well, they wouldn't tell a lie.
So they
Uh,
say.
so there you go. All right, we didn't have a whole lot of congressional activity to track this week. You want to take this one?
I kind of moved one of them out down
Okay.
lower. I don't know if you noticed the change or not. Yeah, I can take this one. So, US 118S. So this is US, United States, 118th sitting of the Congress, which is their current session. S means Senate. 1386 means the 1,386th bill talked about this year.
Let that sink in, y'all.
Yeah.
1,386 bills have been brought up for discussion since the
Bills,
first of the year.
resolutions, consolations. What's the other? There's another one there somewhere. Anyways, this is a bill to provide compensation to certain residents of the island of somewhere in Puerto
Viejas.
Rico for the use of such island for military readiness and for other purposes. So apparently, there's some island in Puerto Rico that the United States Senate believes we should use for military training.
Yep. And here's a question: does Puerto Rico have a National Guard?
They do.
Okay.
I actually
didn't know
served.
if they.
I served with the Puerto Rican National Guard. No shit.
I knew they have military units, but I didn't know if they had an actual Puerto Rico National Guard like we have
Yep.
the Tennessee National Guard. That's good.
Same exact thing. That's their national
I imagine
defense.
they've been
obviously.
pretty busy with all the storms they've had over the last
Look,
couple of years.
I'll tell you a story about the Puerto Rican National Guard. So one time, I'm out smoking cigarettes in my Humvee, hanging out in my own business, and they're like, "Oh, by the way, we're gonna run some training tonight." We're like, all right, cool. What kind of training? All of a sudden, 47 Puerto Ricans come riding over the mountaintop on horses. They're like, "This is an ancient cavalry training, so go fight those Puerto Ricans on horses." I swear to God. I don't know who dreamt it up or what was
But
happening.
you know
All
what?
of a sudden,
I've
there was
read stories in Afghanistan where horses had to be used for certain things.
there was 120 people who I could not communicate with attacking me, and I'm like, "El stop!" I don't know.
El Stapo.
Fucking no, but we all talked afterwards, and then know English pretty good, And obviously, I know 17 words of Spanish, so we had a great conversation.
Right. So, news of the week. We've talked about school shootings recently. We talked last week about swatting calls causing problems for the different law enforcement agencies across the country, dealing with fatigue and the fact that they feel like they're being called out repeatedly for.
Well, define swatting again, because I
Okay.
just learned that term recently. So
Me too. So swatting is where someone makes a false call to law enforcement claiming that there is an active shooter or a bomb in a public location. Or in someone's home. Sometimes they call and say, oh, this person's stockpiling guns. They're talking about taking over the world. And what they do is they will use a phone card that spoofs their phone number to be local to the law enforcement agency that they're calling. So say they're calling Memphis Police Department, they will use this card that they pay so many dollars per minute to use, and it gives them a phone number to use that looks like it's a Memphis phone number, but it's all done through internet servers. So there's no way for the police to actually trace the call back to a particular electronic device because it literally bounces around the world to different servers when they try to trace it. It gives a different report every time they run the trace. So what they do is they call the cops, tell them there's an active shooter at the school. Cops roll in, SWAT team rolls in. If they call in a bomb squad rolls in, and they hit the school hard and they close the school down. They move all the kids out. I've actually been next door to a school when this happened, and the students were moved from the school to the church I was at for a funeral. And it's a big mess. And what it's doing is it's tiring our law enforcement agencies out. Now in East Tennessee on Wednesday, multiple calls came in and it shut down. I believe the total number was 42 different schools were shut down on Wednesday alone, which means at least 42 different law enforcement agencies responded, and probably medical personnel as well, because when you get an active shooter call, you assume there's going to be victims, which means the fire department was rolled, the local ambulance service was rolled.
Unless you're in Waco, Texas, they automatically roll fire and EMS.
Right.
In Waco, they don't do that.
They don't do that. Don't need them. And if your name is Koresh.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, that's got to be a qualification.
So
Um,
my question would be, not to cut you off. If you got more, go ahead.
Well, it's just all I was going to say is they shut down more than 40 schools all across eastern Tennessee. And this, guys, this is wearing our law enforcement out. This is how cops end up making mistakes when they get called to their third school shooting of the day. And some kid comes out of a bathroom where nobody realized they were at and raises a cell phone while he's, you know, trying to finish his phone call or whatever. And the police officer who's crashing down the hallway looking for an active shooter thinks it's a gun. Well, now he's been on 3 shooting calls. His nerves are wound up. He's already worked 60 hours this week trying to keep his town safe. I can see how mistakes get made. And so people are making these calls, and now the law enforcement is finally starting to get serious about it. I think there should be some very serious punishment for this, and I don't think 30 days in jail is enough to do it.
Well, we talked about 30 days in jail last week. You ever spent 30 days in jail?
No.
All right, I got 8.5 years in jail. 30 days will change your life. 90
That's
days
probably true.
will change your life. 500 days, 2 years, whatever you call it, 600 and whatever, 700 days will ruin your life.
Yeah.
It'll make you be a person you're not. That's not my point. My question about this situation is, by us covering this swatting and by news stations covering the swatting calls, are we reinforcing their reason for doing it? Even though we're shedding a negative light on it, we're
I don't
giving them
know.
attention. You see what I'm saying?
That's a good question.
Because
You
I've
know, the
often
point,
wondered that, like in Facebook, the same. You know, people are like, "Hey, this person's scammer or whatever, right? Ah, keyboard. This guy's scamming." I'm like, well, you made him famous. You
right,
shared his post, and my friend shared your post, and now everybody knows about this guy. I had no idea who he was 3 days ago, but now you've made his tactics famous.
right.
Are we part of the problem?
I don't know. You know, Speedy points out sometimes these swatting calls are streamed live on Facebook and YouTube, Twitch. People stream them live. You know, when the police descend, sometimes it's, you know, it's done by somebody on scene, or the kids on scene realize what's going on and they start filming and live streaming it. So, you
But
know,
I'm
they
saying just by partaking in the conversation, right? So we know what the calls do. Whenever they do these swatting calls, we know uh what the fallout is, right?
right.
Fired law enforcement, overactive.
But are we lighting the fire?
Right. Are we saying that this is an effective technique for assholes? Basically, I guess.
Right. You know,
But
Crowbar says, you know, what if it's a ploy just to get the police occupied so a criminal can do something else? You know,
well, that's what we
that
talked
could
about
be, but
last week.
even if
That's
it's not, the police are occupied, so the criminals are free to go do something else.
literally that's exactly what I said last week. Is
Yep.
this a distraction from the actual operation? I think big terms. You know, if I want to launch an assault on, you know, point A, I'm gonna launch 6 mortars over at point B somewhere else.
Right.
So you think that's where I'm? That's exactly what I said last week about these sweating calls.
Well,
But
I mean, even if they're prank calls, think about how many law enforcement agents are tied up on a school shooting. Well, suddenly the 60 blocks outside of their 10-block cordon that they have on the school is now police free, and drug deals and thieves are
sure,
free to go. You know, even if they didn't call it in, they know they're free because now there's a school shooting that's been called in.
I reinforced my previous question. Are we part of
Yep.
the problem? We have 10 viewers. Fox News has 100 million.
That's a good
If
question.
if Fox News covers it, is that telling the people doing this, hey, what you're doing is working? This is a huge distraction. Look,
Right.
it's so much of a distraction. We're gonna put it on our news channel. I don't know. Like, you know what I mean?
That's a good
It's
point.
sometimes you just gotta like my dad taught me like 3 things in life. One of them was about brushing my teeth, and he said if you ignore them, they will go away. I kind of feel like that's relevant to this. Like if you just
Might be.
ignore these guys, they'll go away. I mean, I don't know what the answer is. Tactically, obviously, that's up to commanders and shit. That's above my pay grade. as you
Right.
say.
All right. Do you want to take Title 42 or do you want to take the helicopters?
I'll take the helicopters because you
Okay.
started Title 42. I had the second part, and you said it fell right in. So
It does. So Title 42 is legislation that was passed during COVID that would allow Border Patrol agents to send illegal immigrants back to their country from the border rather than letting them cross over. That is coming to an end, and it's known worldwide that it's coming to an end. And because of that, Texas, New Mexico, Arizona are expecting a huge surge in illegal immigration. And in response to that, the Pentagon is sending 1,500 active duty troops down to the southwest border in order to supposedly help with that. Now, according to Governor Abbott on Twitter, Governor Abbott is the governor of Texas. He said that those 1,500 active duty troops that are coming down are primarily there to do paperwork and that it will not help stop the surge at the border. So he is deploying 10,000 National Guardsmen to the Texas border to help combat that. That's a lot of active duty National Guard. Um, that's a lot of guys who aren't going to be at their 9 to 5 on Monday through Friday.
hell
And
yeah.
so, hopefully we don't have a huge surge in illegal immigration. Guys, I'm all for immigration. You want to come to America and make a better life for yourself? I'm for you. Do it, but
I'm
do it
against
right.
you. We're full.
Follow
We've
the
hit our cap.
procedures.
We can't feed our own people. We got homelessness. We got starving kids. We're capped out. Move on.
Follow the legal procedures and do it right. That's all we ask.
So, 2 helicopters from the 1st Attack Battalion, 25th Aviation Regiment at Fort Wainwright collided about 50 miles east of Healy, Alaska, when they were returning from training on April 27th, the Army said. Healy is about 80 miles southwest of Fairbanks. U.S. military investigators have recovered flight data recorders, also known as the black boxes, from the 2 Army helicopters. The Army has identified those killed in last week's crash as Chief Warrant Officer 3 Christopher Robert Aremo, 39, of Onetka, somewhere from New York. Sorry, Chris. Chief Warrant Officer 2 Kyle D. McKenna, 28, of Colorado Springs, Colorado, and Warrant Officer 1 Stuart Dwayne Waymont, 32, of North Logan, Utah. A private memorial is scheduled for Thursday at Fort Wainwright near Fairbanks. The injured soldier, the 4th soldier, is recuperating at home after being released from the hospital. That soldier's name has not yet been released.
That's rough. There's a lot of helicopter crashes.
Yeah, I don't know what in the shit is going on with the helicopters.
Like 6.
Well, we had 2 at Fort Campbell, 2 in Alaska,
1 in Alabama.
That's 5.
And then this one. Oh no, this one was Alaska. So 5.
Something in Texas, I thought. Whether something in Texas?
I don't remember one in Texas, but there
It
may
was
have
either
been.
it was either trains or helicopters. I don't remember.
So do you remember when we were first going into Afghanistan and helos were crashing left and right? So a guy who helped me get my first airplane, a good friend of mine, Brian Mosley, he lives in Texas, but he's actually out of the country 2 months at a time working for the oil companies in Brazil. He flies helos. He has over 10,000 hours. He was a Chinook and Apache trainer for the United States Army. And he told me when that was going down, he said the reason these boys are crashing is because when we train them here, we train them with half fuel, half ammo, and a lot of times they don't even have their full helo crew on when they're learning to fly. He said, then we send them over there. We give them a bird that's fully loaded. We fully load them with ammunition. They have a full crew plus passengers. And he said they don't know how to handle it at those high altitudes. They've never flown in mountains at that kind of altitude. If you train at Fort Rucker, you don't exactly get Rocky Mountain training.
Right.
And he said it's horrible training. And he said I said that when I was training helo pilots and sending them to Iraq. He said we had crashes then. He said they weren't as publicized back then.
Probably Afghanistan, right? Afghanistan has the average altitude of 13,000 feet. Iraq is much closer to sea level.
But he said they were having crashes in Iraq just because the guys were not accustomed to the weight of the bird.
Oh, okay, yeah.
because they'd never, they're flying Hueys or Blackhawks, and all they'd ever flown with was their flight crew and half a load of fuel. He said now they're fully loaded with fuel, they're fully loaded with ammo, plus they have 6 or 8, 10, 12 passengers in there. He said they're not used to that kind of weight, and he said a wind gust catch them. Next thing you know, they're upside down in the desert.
Well, I guarantee you, we're overloading it. If you're
Oh
coming to
yeah,
get me, we're not leaving 2 guys on the ground. We're all
no,
getting in.
we're all getting in, exactly. Why don't you take this next section too? You wrote this, and
I did.
I'm I
Uh,
really want you to cover this one.
this episode could suck. If you're emotional, I might tear you up again. Um, so other topics, I initially had this under the legislation we're following section, but
Right.
this actually got introduced last year. It just got picked up by another senator recently, so
So it's
it's
going to
kind of
gain
it's
some
kind of
traction.
both, right? It's kind of both. It's called the Love Lives On Act of 2022. Um, technically Senate Bill 4841. Right now, surviving spouses who remarry before age 55 become ineligible for benefits such as the Department of Veterans Affairs Dependency and Indemnity Compensation and the Defense Department's Survivor Benefit Plan. This means what? Imagine that an 18-year-old young man graduates high school in 2004 and promptly joins the Army. He and his girlfriend have been together since the 7th grade and are inseparable. They spend a few weeks between high school and graduation and his scheduled basic training together, going to movies, holding hands, pondering their future together, and he decides that he wants to spend his life with her. He proposes before leaving for basic training, and they agree to be married after he graduates. He graduates, they marry, consummate their marriage, and she is pregnant. He then gets orders for deployment to Iraq in support of Operation Iraqi Freedom. Back when we used to spend 12 months in the sandbox per deployment, the Army only, everyone else spent less time than 12 months. Like the Marines are 6 months, the Air Force is 6 months, whatever, right? But for an Army man, it was 12 months away from your home, period. He's allowed 2 weeks leave during this year in which he will go home, see his wife, and meet his newborn son. His time at home on leave draws to a close, and he must return to Iraq for the last several months of his deployment. Imagine with me now that this young hero never makes it home. He makes the ultimate sacrifice. He gives his life in service of his country. The next time his young wife and son see him is in a box under a United States flag, which is folded ever so carefully and given to them as a lasting memory of their young love and of the father that he will never get the chance to know. Under the current law, that young wife and son will be eligible for the aforementioned benefits until she remarries, at which point the benefits would be canceled. This young family would have to wait until she reaches 55 years old for her to be able to remarry and keep the benefits bestowed upon them when her husband died. In 2022, Senator Warnock, Democrat out of Georgia, introduced a bill dubbed the Love Lives On Act of 2022 that would allow spouses of deceased service members and veterans to keep getting survivor benefits until they remarry at any age, which would let surviving spouses who were married before the measure becomes law resume collecting those benefits. So what that means is basically if under the new law, if a surviving spouse were to remarry, they would keep their benefits, and any surviving spouse who had their benefits canceled prior to this becoming law, they would resume collecting said benefits. What do you think?
Well, you and I kind of talked about this a little bit. You know, a family makes a gold star sacrifice like that, loses the income giver, they should receive benefits. At the point the spouse remarries, then the person who marries her, be he military or not, he takes on the responsibility of that family. So, we also talked about the fact that the military provides life insurance. I think you said 400,000 in life insurance.
Yep.
So
With an additional 400,000 available at cost.
right. So my thought on it would be if she's remarried, then that fellow just took on the responsibility of her and any children that she has. it should not at that point fall to the taxation of the American people to continue providing for that family. She has an income provider.
Do you not think that whenever she entered this other relationship, that that would be part of the basis of their relationship, is that she has some sort of income, she has some sort of means to carry on?
Could be. It could be. Honestly, I'm not. I mean, I'm kind of torn on this bill from a fiscal standpoint, from a financial standpoint. This will add billions of dollars to the United States government budget.
Yep.
Over the course of time. From a moral standpoint, she lost her husband. You know, he was fighting for the country. Should we continue writing a check? You know, I don't know. I would need to really dig into the bill, read through the bill, find out what kind of money we're talking about. But even then, I don't think that at the point she
Does it matter
remarries.
how much it costs?
No, I guess not. I mean, it's
Yeah,
it cost them.
I don't think so either. I don't think cost is relevant. I think entitlement is relevant. So I had this conversation privately with one of our close friends, and I read this bill and I put it in here because I knew that I felt a certain way about it. Obviously, I wrote 3 paragraphs, right?
Right.
I would be posthumously angered and disappointed in my wife if she ever said to anyone else, "My husband served in the military and I deserve this." I
Right.
would be pissed off. If you earn something, you earn it. No one was overseas fighting with me that's in this house right now.
Right.
That is in my house. You understand? Now, does that warrant a certain amount of appreciation? Yes, it does.
Yes.
That's what our life insurance is for, right? That's why
Right.
the government gives us that big $500,000 life insurance check. I would be so disappointed if I had given my life for my country and then my family came asking for more.
Right.
I couldn't even put into words. But again, I could not imagine losing the one I love the most, you know?
Right.
I don't think money fixes the situation. Now, do I think that so if we go back up to the top of this paragraph here, it says they're eligible for the Department of Veterans Affairs, VA's dependency and indemnity compensation. So the compensation means money, is what that means, right? So that's the money part of it. And then the Defense Department's survivor benefit plan. The survivor benefit plan part of this is the education and healthcare. So right now they're separated. You might not get a paycheck, but you might still earn your free college and whatever. Like I think it's I think half the bill's good. Because I served and because I gave my life in service for my country, my children should be able to go to college. They should be able to use the benefits that I earned, right? But if my wife decides that she wants to go find another man to be the father of my family, I don't think she should draw off my paycheck, I guess.
Right.
I don't know a better way to put it.
Well, we've had a very interesting show today. We've covered a lot of ground. We got started a little bit late, but I think that's a good topic to
It was
close
worth
the
it. We got
show.
started late because that video I wanted to throw in the
Yeah.
last minute.
Yeah,
And that
that's
video
fine.
was amazing.
It was, yeah, it's stellar. I'm glad that they gave us permission to use their stuff.
Yeah, that was awesome.
So, man, yeah, I mean, we've covered a whole lot of topic. Your daughter's first plane ride.
Holy shit! Yeah, that was awesome.
Pretty cool.
Scary and awesome.
Lost a couple people close to me this week. Then a whole lot of history. Man, Christopher Columbus discovering Jamaica along with the Beach Boys. Oh, let's see. What else do we have? Washington getting sworn in as first president.
First president. Yep.
That's a pretty big deal, I would say, at least
A
in
lot
American history.
of history.
I guess in British history too, because at that point they had no choice but to recognize an independent country.
Yeah, they wouldn't try to get their ass whooped twice. Alan Shepard, first American in space. Decent.
Yeah. Muhammad Ali loses his boxing championship for refusing to be drafted.
LA riots.
Yep. Kent State.
Ooh, Osama bin Laden getting
Bin
killed. That's
Laden.
awesome.
Hirohito's birthday.
Bunch of birthdays. Yep. Bunch of birthdays.
May Day, Labor Day.
Yeah, the new Labor Day. Well, the original
new
Labor Day, I guess, right?
Yeah. Mary Mother Jones.
Some birthdays. Hey, upcoming events. Check the link for real.
For real, check the link.
If you guys know any veterans, get them hooked up with that disabled American veterans group. Those guys they're great. They'll take care of you.
Whiskey. In response to your comment, I think I could live with that. With the child getting benefits.
I agree.
At least up till age 18 or 21, something like that, till they're able to support themselves.
Forever. Quit putting expiration dates on our benefits.
You think forever? Okay.
Yeah, shit, yeah. Right now, I can't go to college because my benefits expired because I didn't grow up fast enough for the Army to pay for my college.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I could live with that.
If I'm at such a point in life or death, as the article is, to where I'm not going to use my benefits, why are you putting an expiration date on my child's education?
Right.
Knock that shit off. Now, if she wants to go get some other dude, that's on her.
Yep.
Anyways,
check the links, y'all, for real. I mean, we got the Gold Star.
Tons of
Raising
awesome
the Voices
stuff.
of Gold Star families, soldiers, angels, military, and veteran food distribution. There are so many things at your fingertips if you're a veteran that can help you out no matter what you're going through. Click the link at the top of chat. Check the links in the document. There are all kinds of helpful things there.
Heck yeah. We got a raid set up?
Yeah, we're going to be raiding out to Iceman.
Okay,
333.
Cool. Hell yeah. Who don't love Iceman? Yeah, Veteran Spotlight, Alex Kuntz. Awesome dude. Sorry, I heard you start it.
Veteran Spotlight with Alex Kuntz.
Yep.
Covered the Constitution and the fact that the court has the power to rule in all cases in law and equity that are under the Constitution of the United States. Then we talked about the possibility that an island in Puerto Rico may be used for military training, so they're looking to compensate the families who live there. Makes you wonder what they're compensating them for. I mean, they're going in there with rubber bullets doing,
No, strip clubs. That's what it is.
Is that it?
Yep.
Swatting calls, we covered those again.
Tons of stuff.
Title 42 coming to an end is a big one. I think we're going to see a huge surge in illegal immigration. I think we're going to see a lot more activity at the border, and I don't think it's going to be good for the people who live there.
Who cares? 2.4 million come into our country every year anyways. Ain't nobody doing shit about it. Everybody wants to talk about it. No one's going to do shit about it.
Well, there are people doing about it, but if we're going to talk about them on stream, we're going to get one of them and interview them. And I may actually reach out. I got a friend who's connected to the Minutemen, and we might be able to get an interview.
I'm talking about our politicians to go on CNN and talk about how much stuff they're doing.
Yeah. Politicians, all they do is talk. They get paid to talk.
All right, get me out of here.
All right, rate us out to Iceman, if you would. There, Iceman333_ on Twitch, and Mr. Producer, can you roll those credits? And guys, you know what we always say: you can't change the world, but you can change the world around you.
Don't talk about it, be about it.